Module 2, Training. Psychology of training. Can training be a quick fix? Just like nutrition, we are going to dive deep into understanding our reasons and behaviors around training, why we do it, why we might see it as a quick fix, why we don't see results, and what approach we need to take to get us from point A to B in the most sustainable and healthiest way possible. There are many myths surrounding the health and fitness industry, especially when it comes to training. So let's get started. The first thing we want to address is the mentality around quick fix training, aka challenges, why we do them and why we think they might work for us. So why do we think they might work? To start with, they provide us with high motivation to start with. This likely comes from feeling lost, falling off track, or starting out, or maybe just lacking structure in what we might be doing. We rely highly on motivation to get us going. There's no commitments. We see the end goal in sight straight away and quickly think that's all it takes is 8 weeks to get these results. To build muscle, firstly, it takes time, but it's a process that comes along firstly with technique and perfecting the skill of the movement properly. To be challenging enough over time to then be consistent enough to build the muscle. Now, building muscle, let's just tackle that first. That is what we think is toning. So why do we think they maybe don't work? Take a couple of minutes to give this some thought. Reflect back to a time you maybe have gone for a time where your motivation is high due to perhaps an event coming up or you wanted to lose weight for an 8-week challenge you sign up for. This could be boot camps or even classes or some sort of training that looks hard and intense, but you feel the need to push yourself and challenge yourself to get these results. Now that's just some examples. If you think about what happened maybe when you completed it or hit that goal for that event, were you able to sustain it? Long term, could you fit it into your lifestyle? Does it align with your goals? If you're someone who finds you go in and out of training phases, you joined a gym for a bit, then stopped going, you joined a boot camp, then stopped going, ask yourself why. You may not know the answer to this straight away, and that's okay. But at least this question is helping bring some awareness around for you to think about it. Why many people give up and lose motivation is mostly due to not finding an approach to training that fits into their lifestyle and meets their needs and goals. Much like nutrition, if a diet you do isn't sustainable or aligns with you, then you're not able to likely to adhere to it in the long term. The cycle of quick fix mentality around training. Again, much like nutrition, the cycle of that quick fix mentality is much the same with experiencing the highs and lows. We start the challenge and we're thinking we know what our goals are, but perhaps at this point not be super clear on what they need to be for the longer term. Motivation is high. We start off with the go hard or go home mentality. We reach a point of plateau or fatigue. This makes us feel like it's too hard and we come up with excuses and reasons why we should stop. Regardless of a challenge or not, this mentality carries out in a lot of training routines in general, revolving around that all or nothing mentality, which, like we spoke about in nutrition, we want to avoid having. The pendulum effect. How to overcome common training mistakes. So something that is underestimated and overlooked within the fitness industry is nailing the basics first. Now, this is something I am very big on. I like to think of this one like ticking off the boxes before moving on to the next step. People likely make mistakes in training purely due to the lack of knowledge around training and the exercises they have picked, going from 0 to 100 approach, the ego approach, let's call it that maybe, thinking they can lift 50 plus kilos on a barbell without even doing a bodyweight squat properly first, or thinking they can properly run a marathon without properly learning how to run and start with some small kilometers first. There is nothing wrong with starting small and learning the basic movement patterns to be able to then perform, progress, and achieve results at a more sustainable and accelerated pace. Another common training mistake is overtraining and not recovering enough. We want to be clear on what we want to achieve out of our training. What are our goals? How do we want to feel? What do we want to achieve? And how can we make this fit into a sustainable approach for us moving forward? We're going to look at a case study. This is Sarah. Sarah's goal is to feel fitter, stronger, and more toned. Well, lean muscle. But along with these goals, she's fairly new to training, has previously cycled in and out of doing exercise. She's had a previous slight injury in her knee, but is better now. She wants to move well and avoid injuries in the future again. Her age is 30 and she wants to feel better overall from a health perspective. Here, Sarah has joined an F45 class. You see here on the left, exercise as A1, A2, which means perform together, known as a superset. There is a time cap to do as many reps as possible with little rest in between each exercise. So this is the structure of most classes or an F45 program, where it's high intensity, get in, get out mentality. We're going to now look at a personalized approach. Here we have a structured resistance program, personable to her goals that are outlined previously. Again, exercises performed as supersets on the left with specific amount of reps and sets and rest in between. Now, the difference between them. You can clearly see the difference outlined in them. Reflecting on what her goal is, which one do you think best aligns with the goal and that is more sustainable long-term for her? The behavior change model. Ability and motivation are important when making training fit into your lifestyle. Being honest with yourself and what your current capabilities are. You may not know exactly what they are, but a few examples to work out are asking yourself this. What is your experience with training? How long have you been consistently training for? Are these exercises, movements proven to be difficult to perform for you? And the enjoyment factor of it all, aka motivation. Are they challenging enough to keep you motivated? Do you enjoy how it makes you feel? Are you confident in these movements? How we can increase ability. These can be the key metrics to having success in your overall training. Now, looking over your current program or training routine, I want you to look at what changes you would make based on what we've looked at so far and the behavior change model. Now, there's no right or wrong answer. It's basically outlining your ideal program to fit to your goals. The next module we're going into looking at training foundations. So this will go in a bit more education around training principles and why we do it. We'll then look at further adjusting that program. But for now, for our next coaching call, I want you to come up with your ideal program, one that you think can fit to your goals and it's more sustainable for you from just going off what we've looked at so far.